Hi guys, it's Lumen, and today I'll be presenting my REM team. I was about to say REM and RAM because that's the team I did before, but this time it's just REM. So yeah, without further ado, let's just dig in right into the REM herself. We'll dig into the subs, the equips, and how I feel about the team essentially, right? So first off, let's take a look at REM. Even before she transforms, the biggest thing I noticed is that she not only has a part break multiplier in her leader skill, but she also has two innate part breaks each. So with two of them, you stack the multiplier. Yeah, you stack the multiplier obviously, and then you also have 4 innate part breaks. And with a 1.69 multiplier, which is 1.3 squared, it means that you only need 5 part breaks to reach 100% part drop rate, which is really good because, I mean, if you need 5 and you already have 4, then it means you only need 1 more. So needing only 1 part break for the rest of the team gives the team a huge amount of flexibility to work with, and just makes it a lot easier to team build, because there are some teams where you don't have, I mean, the thing is, like, of course, you don't have to have full part break guaranteed, right, to clear a dungeon. But ideally, if you're gonna try to clear a dungeon, you kind of want to have a setup. Like, you want to get to a setup where you can not only consistently clear, but then you can also consistently break all the parts. And then after that, you want to be able to consistently, like, drop all the parts too. And so some teams, like for example Rem and Ram, can't really do that, while Rem herself is just phenomenal for this because, well, she can just break parts like no other lead. So definitely really liking Rem already, and we haven't even gotten to the transform part, the post-transform. We just looked at the pre-transform. Post-transform active skill is very much like Rem and Ram in that it's a 4-turn cooldown with a 2-turn Void Pierce, a 2-turn 44 bill uncap, and a full tricolor board change of Water, Dark, and Heal. Now, because the effects are 2-turn duration on a 4-turn cooldown, running 2 copies will just loop everything, right? Which is why generally all the Rem setups you see are 2 copies, right? Again, like Rem and Ram, I mean, I guess they're like almost the same character anyway, but the problem here is that the orb generation is not consistent because the orbs are generated every other turn with just 2 Rem. Now, there are setups with 4 Rem, but I think it is a little bit overkill because you do kind of kill your entire team flexibility, and I mean, it's okay. I just don't like it. It seems very inelegant, right? Like, you just throw 4 of them just because, yeah. I also might be a little salty because I only rolled like 2 Rem. Well, I rolled 1 and then bundled the other. So, yeah, I felt pretty unlucky. I did get 6 Reinhardt, so I don't know. Maybe I wasn't that unlucky, but I don't know. It just didn't feel good, you know? Like, I wanted to get more Rem. Even if I don't think the team is good, I kind of want to test it, you know? But I still think it's not that good just because you have too much of the same stuff, right? It's like when you eat food and there's too much salt. And salt makes things taste amazing, right? But when it's too salty, then it just tastes terrible. And that's the type of vibe I get, right? So, yeah, Rem, definitely fantastic. You loop some great effects, and you have orb generation every other turn, which is nice, but also creates a team building issue to solve, which is now we gotta fulfill that orb generation with another sub or another pair of subs, right? To that end, my solution, it's not really a solution, but it's like my choice of supplemental orb generation, is to throw in 2 copies of the badge unit, Amelia and Subaru, right? And the reason why I chose them is partly because I just wanted to run the full collab setup, right? There are alternatives, which I'll kind of dig into later, that are arguably better than the duo, but you know, for the thematic purposes, I was like, cool, whatever, I'll just pick this, right? Amelia and Subaru, it's a very interesting active. It's a rotating active, right? So it's like a, I don't know, we call it like an Evo skill, I think, right? Is what it's called. But it rotates, right? So you use the first part, then you use the second part, and then depending on how many parts there are, you go through all of them. In this case, there's only just 2, and then you rotate back to the first and reuse it again and again, right? Amelia and Subaru have the 3+1 evolving skill, which means that you use the first stage and then the second stage consecutively, and then it goes on cooldown for 3 turns until it comes back up, right? So when you use 2 copies, it'll be like, let's say we have 1 copy, it'll go like stage 1, stage 2, and then the second copy then will go stage 1, stage 2, and loop back and forth, right? The reason why I say this is because Amelia and Subaru, one of the main purposes for using them is to fill in that orb generation, and indeed, if you think about it as like a 4-turn active, they do generate a full board of water, dark, and heal every other turn, in a way, right? One of the great benefits of the duel is that in both parts of the evolving active, there's an Awoken Bind clear. So you essentially clear Awoken Binds every single turn, which means you almost cannot die to that mechanic. Of course, if you get hit by a Awoken Bind into a regular bind, then you cannot clear. But those mechanics are usually, or that, you know, combination of enemy mechanics is usually reserved for like puzzles, right? Like special bosses. So yeah, you don't see that much. The problem with Awoken Bind clears every turn is that it's just unnecessary, right? There's only 3 in GA5. You have the one in the beginning, you have the one on floor 7 against Kepri, and then you have the one on floor 12 against the Raw Dragons. And then that's it. So you lose a lot of value there, but I think it could be really nice in a future setup where Awoken Binds are just much more prevalent. But you never know. It is nice though that I don't have to think about the timing of the active, because I just know, okay, if an Awoken Bind pops up, like I can just clear it. I don't have to think about timing my cleric or whatever. The other thing that Amelia and Subaru do, at least in the first stage of their active, is they also clear unmatchables. Like it's a full cleric, Awoken Bind clear, and unmatchable clear. This is nice because Rem is a TPA based team, right? So TPA teams can take advantage of the unmatchable latent, which kind of clears unmatchables by making TPAs of the respective color. But having unmatchable clear in an active as well gives really nice insurance, because you never know if there's that one spawn that makes both water and dark unmatchable, because then you would die regardless of having the latent. But then having the active clear it as well, it just makes you a lot safer against the mechanic for sure, right? Now, do I think there's any unmatchables that, or are there any spawns that do blue and dark unmatchable? I don't think so, but never hurts to be sure. Like I have PTSD from, I think her name is Zhang Mei. It's like it's the 4 noble ones, right? And one of them makes all colors unmatchable, and then like if you're playing a TPA team and you think, oh, you know, I can clear the unmatchables with my latent, well, too bad, so sad, you're cooked. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's very nice that Amelia and Subaru have that component in at least one part of their active. The second part is the more appealing one. It's the one that makes the board of Water, Dark, and Heal, but it also uncaps the unit to 50 billion for 1 turn and creates a 7x6, right? And that is really nice. And of course, there's a Awoken Bind clear on it as well, but we kind of went over that, right? It's really nice to make a big board, because there are some spawns where you just want a bigger board to make more orbs and stuff, right? So for example, against floor 13, if you don't match 16 combos or more, you die, right? Or you don't necessarily die, but like you get hit really, really hard. And Rem is very well suited to dealing with that, because in her leader skill, she provides 4 combos for each lead, right? So it's plus 8 combos because I'm running double Rem. But making 8 combos on a 6x5 is not the easiest prospect, especially when you're trying to match TPAs, which kind of reduce the amount of combos you can make, right? So making a 7x6 can really help with that. Yeah, I mean, I don't really go out of my way to time it for those type of things, but like, it is a convenient effect. And then of course the two big ones are the board change and then the 50 billion uncap. 50 billion uncap is especially handy because the team, it does damage, but more damage is always welcome. So yeah, very, very nice in that sense. As for the last two subs, I use Anastasia Hoshin because Anastasia kind of covers a lot of mechanics. Anastasia, let's see, big shield for those enrage hits, right? Those killer enrage hits where you kind of die if you don't shield them. Floor 4, floor 10, floor 15 on the boss after super resolve are the three big enrage hits you need to look out for. You can also technically think of floor 13 as an enrage hit, but to be honest, you can probably kill through the combo void shield, so it's like a bit iffy. But there are teams that just shield it and then tank it and then move on because the spawn just has no HP otherwise, right? So yeah, but big shield is necessary and Anastasia provides that. Anastasia also provides a Fujin on a 6-turn cooldown, or rather it's a 6-turn Fujin on a 6-turn cooldown. Technically you can loop it, but because the shield has to be properly timed, you don't use it off cooldown every single time, right? Like, you just, like, maybe you need Fujin for a certain stretch, so then you pop the shield for what you need and then use the Fujin afterwards, right? But yeah, I guess the point is you can loop it, but you don't want to. And then the last big part about Anastasia is that she holds a lot of else, and I guess a lot of heal OE as well, so enhanced recovery, and then a great holder of the assist void latent. And indeed, that's what she does for this team. Anastasia is also really nice because her Super Awakening, she has a couple choices. A very popular one would probably be Assist Resonance just for the stats, but I actually use the All Orb Enhanced Super Awakening just because that thing is completely broken. It allows you to, I mean, just 20%. The thing is, the Super Awakening is so nice because it cannot be invalidated by assists, right? A lot of the times when you pack in OE, it's usually on the equips, but then when Assist Void hits, then they're all gone, right? In this dungeon, you really have to have enough OE, because if you go up against Sundorm, he casts a 45% negative OE Skyfall. If you do not deal with that, you get absolutely destroyed. Yeah, it's just terrifying. So the floor before that, which is like kind of the stage 1 of the boss, Soldier, he casts a 10-turn Awoken, not Awoken Bind, 10... Soldier casts a 10-turn Assist Void, and so you really do need to clear that, not just because you want to make sure you have your OE equips for the second stage Sundorm, but also because this team does rely on a lot of bulk from the Assist Resonance on Rem, which we'll talk about when we get to the equips. But yeah, just very important. Basically, Anastasia does a ton of things. The downside to her is that she literally does no damage, but I think it's a worthy sacrifice when you can do so many other things. Now, the last sub is Amelia. Amelia is there to raise the damage floor of the team, especially in GA5. There's a lot of spawns with like 1 billion. I'm pretty sure all the spawns except a few have like at least 1 billion defense, and you know, not uncapping certain units like means you do peanuts for damage. It's like really bad because defense is just such a, I don't know, it's such a terrible hidden stat because it really does affect your damage in a significant way. Amelia is there to raise the damage floor, and the great thing about Amelia is because her cooldown is so short and her uptime, obviously her uptime is technically permanent, but because she cycles on a 2-turn cooldown, it does not interfere with the uncaps from Rem and Amelia and Subaru, which is actually huge. Alright, so we went over all the subs and leads, I guess. We didn't really talk about the leader skill, but it's par for the course, very good stats. 82% damage reduction, 150x attack, 2x recovery, plus 4 combos, 13 million autoflow. I mean, these are all just great. These are all fantastic multipliers. These are exactly what I want to see. And the big thing I like is that a couple things is One is the shield is not actually dependent on the awakening. So let's say, now with this team there's no risk of this, but let's say you do get Awoken Bound and you do not have your Awoken Bind Clear in time. Well, you can match Water and Dark still and not... Well, you probably do die because you get Awoken Bound, which means you lose your part breaks, you lose your assist resonance, you lose your barrels, but I mean, technically you can still get your 82% shields without needing to activate an awakening. And then matching a TPA is not that big of a deal. If anything, you want to match TPA anyway because you need the damage, right? So, yeah. In terms of the equips, one of the big problems with the team is that not only Rem, but also, especially Amelia and Subaru, but also Rem, they actually don't do quite enough damage. So you have to put levitate equips on all of them. It kind of sucks because that's 4 levitate equips across like your entire team, which takes up so many of your equip slots. And then the truly tough part is that Rem has assist resonance as her sync, which means you need to find a levitate equip that also fits those assist resonance requirements, which to my knowledge is water attribute equip that is either attacker or devil. And the only one with levitate that fits is Nike's equip, which is honestly insanely expensive because it's a brand new... I don't know if it's brand new, but it's a fairly new GFE. And rolling Godfest nowadays is like pretty terrible, so I don't expect too many people to have it, right? As for Amelia and Subaru, technically I don't think you need levitate equips if you use the 10C plus, the double 10C Super Awakening. But I chose to use the aging Super Awakening instead because I was a little bit worried about the survivability of the team. Like, I was worried it wouldn't be tanky enough for some of the floors. But I think it's not an issue. Like, once you break the part on Sophie and you get past like floor 5 at least, you are honestly so tanky, it's fine. Like, I think after floor 10 with the aging Super Awakenings, with part break and the whole shebang, by floor 10 I was like almost 400,000 HP. Like, with double 82% shields, you really do not die. The one argument for the aging Super Awakening is that the stats still stick around even when you do get assist voided by Soldier. And against Soldier it's a little bit tough because, and Soldier I'm referring to floor 14, so the first stage of the boss. The problem is that Soldier technically has like a reduced hit, but because you're assist voided, you lose all the stats from at least you lose all the stats from assist resonance, right? I don't think you're gonna equip too many part breaks. In fact, with this team you don't need to equip any because Amelia has part break, but it's a bit grim. Like, I think this team as constructed does not survive Soldier's first hit after the preemptive. But if you tweak it a little bit, like you just throw in a couple of red resistances. I did die on like a test run and it was only by like 2,000 HP, maybe even less. So one red resist would probably change things, but as it stands, like the tankiness does help on that floor specifically, right? Now in the video I think I just matched 2 or 3 L's or something, so it didn't really change anything, but sometimes you can't like guarantee that, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just something to think about. But I think in terms of damage, it might be easier to go for the double 10C Awakening and then just put on like Team HP or some... Maybe you could even use like disappearing equips or something like that in order to guarantee it, honestly. So something to think about. As for the rest of the equips with Anastasia, one of the big things for me is that I put an Vanishing L equip on her, mainly because Anastasia only has 4 L's, so to clear the 10 turn of Assist Void on Soldier, you need 3 L's, which is a little bit grim because you can barely even live the first hit. So at max you get 2 turns. So to guarantee that it's way easier, I gave her a couple more L's. Really, she only needs 1 more, but the fact that she gets more L's means now she can clear the Assist Void with either 2 L's. It could be over 1 or 2 turns, right? But yeah, it just helps her out a lot. And then with Amelia, honestly, like, I don't even remember what I put on Amelia because Amelia, she has her own damage and stuff. Like, she's very self-sufficient and works great. So Amelia doesn't need any particular equips. But I think the one I used was just mass OE. Yeah, if memory serves... Sorry, I'm just not even looking at my team. But I think if memory serves, I used the H. Paimon's equip. An absolute classic, but it has team HP and it has a full set of OE, and that's exactly what I want to deal with the boss. So yeah, very, very nice equip there. And Amelia doesn't really need anything. She doesn't have assist resonance. She doesn't have any requirements. She has all her own damage with levitate and fortency, so no problems there. So yeah, this is my team. Honestly, playing the team, it seemed fine, right? The damage was very consistent, right? Maybe not like, you know, perfect damage, right? Obviously, if there's like a 40% super resolve, maybe I don't hit all the way down to 40% because my damage is like a bit segmented, right? But it is consistent, does kill all the spawns like very consistently at least. I don't know if I'd say it's easy, but it is very consistent and I don't really have to think about it too much, right? In terms of survivability, also very good. I don't know. It's like fine, right? The only problem I have with it is that you do need to kind of be careful before floor 5 because none of your aging awakenings do anything, and then you have no chance of activating any part break for stats and stuff like that, so it really doesn't do that much. It is a little bit dangerous, but because the recovery is so nice, like, first of all, Rem already has a great recovery multiplier, and then Anastasia adds more additional recovery with heal OE, so definitely very nice for sure. I don't see any problem with the recovery, and the tankiness is just fine. As for the playstyle, it's pretty simple. You just match TPAs. I think in terms of playstyle, it's like pretty simple to play, so nothing too bad. I know some people don't really like it. It's like I think the biggest thing is like it triggers my OCD because whenever you play like a TPA team, you always have those like 2 orbs or something that don't work out, or you have like that chunk of orbs that doesn't really match anything. But I mean, pretty simple playstyle. And then last, in terms of the team building, I think it's fine. The part break support that Rem has is a huge plus, but Rem is, I don't know, like, the fact that you need so many levitate equips is a huge minus as well, especially because the equip on Rem needs to specifically be Nike in order to be like truly effective. Now, I haven't really checked. You might not need that much damage, like you might not need the multiplier of a levitate, but I'm not sure if you can get away with just like a 10C. I don't think a 7C will cut it at all, because you're not really hitting 14 combos that often. Or at least you don't want to hit 14 combos that often. I think you can easily do it, but you don't really want to. So, I don't know, the flexibility, because of the equips, it's like super tough. However, talking about team building flexibility is kind of fun because we talked about Rem having an orb generation issue and how you had to add supplemental orb generation in order to fill the loop, right? Rem does not need to use Amelia and Subaru. Amelia and Subaru, in my opinion, was just the collab's solution, right? GungHo designed this badge unit specifically in the collab to fit with Rem, so that if you pull a lot in the collab, then you can have all the pieces you need to work with, right? And as you can see, I use all of the same collab units, which is actually fantastic because it allows me to use the collab badge, which I also had the MP badge enhanced as well. 2.5x attack and 15% I think it's HP recovery, or is it all stats? Not entirely sure, but definitely a great badge, right? You'll see other teams that don't use it. For example, with Rem and Ram, I use the balance badge. That one is much more offensively oriented with the 5x attack multiplier, but in exchange it only gives 5% to HP and recovery at least, so a bit of a trade-off there, right? And that team was also full collab too, but the thing with that team was it didn't need survivability, it needed damage, so that's why I opted for the balance badge over the collab badge. This one, I think it needs more tankiness because you can't exactly augment the damage of the team to like meet any breakpoints. It already does enough damage as long as you have levitates and the proper equips to support the units. So yeah, I mean, again, I like it. If you were to replace the team, like the subs and stuff, the in my opinion, the most elegant solution to the orb generation problem is the new evolution of Triss. Triss being on a 2-turn cooldown is so huge because if you look at it, I'm taking up 2 sub slots to fill in orb generation and kind of like damage caps and stuff. Of course, there's like cleric applications as well, but it's like 2 slots, right? Like you are taking up a lot of space. With Triss, you can include, it only fits in 1 slot, right? Because it's a 2-turn cooldown, so you can go off and on and off and on with Triss, right? So you do Rem 1, Triss, Rem 2, Triss, Rem 1, Triss, Rem 2, Triss, etc., right? And it opens up an extra sub slot for whatever you want, right? It makes the team building much more flexible because now you don't have to deal with, you have an extra sub slot to work with. And not only that, but I believe Triss does enough damage. And then if you pick the right sub, I mean, you could probably also do a bit better with the Eclipse too. Because I needed Levitate. The thing is, even Levitate on Amelia Subaru is not enough if you're not running the 10C plus Super Awakening. So I had to use Steed Eclipse because that had, I think, Team HP, Levitate, and it had TPAs as well to kind of help out. And even then, it still really doesn't do enough damage, right? But that's, I don't know, what can I do? I mean, I think that was the best I could do, so, yeah. I mean, running with Triss makes things so much easier, right? Because now all you have to do is what? Clear, you have to include Awoken Bind Clear, right? You may have to include Unmatchable Clear, but I don't think you'll need it if you just use the Latent. So you just need Awoken Bind Clear, you need Fujin, you need Shield, and those are the 3 really big things that you'll need. The one thing I didn't mention, now that I look at the checklist, the one thing I didn't mention, and the one thing that's kind of missing from this team, is Attribute Absorption Void. The way I deal with that on this team is I actually use the Attribute Absorption Latent, which only needs 2 colors in order to activate. I'm not going to say it's the prettiest solution. It definitely feels a little bit jank for sure, like I don't love it, but it works. You definitely sacrifice some time, but it works, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. And you know, if I can fix it with Latent, it's a cheap price to pay. Now you may be thinking about, like, you know, oh, you need 4 SDR in every unit, what are you going to do if you get delayed? GA5 has very few delays. You only have a 4-turn delay in the beginning, and then you have a 4-turn delay on a 10 that you can actually 1C kind of swipe out of. So it's not really a big deal, which is why it doesn't really matter to me. I don't know, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I was talking about Triss, kind of went over to, man, I don't even know. I guess if I'm talking about how I feel, some things I hate, obviously one is like, I'm pressing like 1 trillion actives. The second part I don't really like is that, I don't know. It's not really that bad, it's pretty simple. I guess like from here on out it's just like pet peeves or like preferences and stuff. But honestly it's like totally fine. It's just you press a lot of actives and stuff. And I guess the damage, it would be better if you could replace Anastasia with something that could actually do damage. So yeah, but that's pretty much it for me. Like, I like the team. It works out pretty nice, and yeah, it has a lot of, well, I wouldn't say it has a lot, but it has gotten more flexibility now too, with Triss involved. The other thing I wanted to say was that the other alternative sub was Valentine's Dina, but the new form of Valentine's Dina is a little bit awkward to use. I don't love it too much, so yeah, I don't know. I think if you have Triss, it makes this way better, and then if you have 2 of the badge unit for whatever reason, then, you know, you have 2 of the badge unit. That's cool too. So yeah, that's my take on the REM team. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I would love to make a video on the like Triss variation, but I just don't feel like I have the time, and I don't really have the motivation either, just because I have to 891 Triss as well. I don't know, 891 sucks. So with that, that'll be all from me. I wish you guys the best. If you have any questions or comments or anything, just let me know. I said I would respond to some, and I didn't on the last video, so this time I promise I will respond to at least 1 comment. So I appreciate you guys watching. I know the editing has been, again, a bit crude, but I'm getting better at it, so it's kind of fun. So yeah. With that, I'll take my leave. As always, good luck and have fun.
スバル君の匂いを嗅ぐのはレムの